This video is for lesson 4 of the sound topic entitled Detecting Sound. By the end of the lesson you should be able to describe how the ear works and describe some ways in which our hearing can be damaged. We're going to use the following animation to look at how we hear sounds. And to begin with, you can see already we've got something that's producing the sound. There's a drum being struck here, and that's causing the surrounding air molecules to vibrate in all directions. Some of those vibrating air molecules will enter our ear because the sound travels in the form of waves. In this case, of course, sound is a longitudinal wave consisting of compressions where they're all close together and rarefactions where they're all spread apart. So let's see what happens once those vibrations are being made. Okay, so the first thing that happens is that the vibrating air molecules pass through the outer ear. That's the outer bit there which we associate with our ear called the pinna. This part here is called the ear canal. So the vibrations travel into the ear canal and start to vibrate our eardrum, which is tightly stretched skin over muscle, which starts to vibrate in tune with those air vibrations. Now, those vibrations are very small, so a series of 3 bones called the ossicles, commonly known as the hammer, anvil and stirrup, they help to magnify that sound. So once the sound is magnified, the ossicles strike something called the cochlea. Now it's a snail-like structure. It's not a snail, it's just snail-like because of its kind of shape. And it's filled with a liquid. So once those ossicles vibrate against the cochlea, it causes the liquid inside to start to vibrate as well. Now the vibration of the liquid is picked up by tiny hair-like structures which line the surface of the cochlea, the inner surface of the cochlea. And it's the movement of those hair-like structures which then produce electrical signals, which are then transmitted to the brain via something called the auditory nerve. The semicircular canals here don't really play a part in how we hear. They give us our sense of balance. You might have heard that people with ear infections often lose their balance. Well, it's because it affects the semicircular canals here. Okay, so that information needs to be got into your notes in some way. So what I've done is I've attached a worksheet entitled Human Ear to your homework. It'll give you a blank diagram like this which you have to label using the terms here, or at least some of the terms that are here. Okay, I'd like you to have a go at that on your own, and then underneath the worksheet there are boxes which describe the passage of the air and the processes that go on that enable us to hear. So have a go at that first and then come back and we'll go through the answers together. Okay, so pause the video, print off your worksheet, or if you can't print, I'm afraid you're going to have to do your best to draw what's on there and then come back. Okay, hope you managed that okay. We'll go through the labelling part first then. So number 1, ear passage with wax and hair, so that protects nasty things like insects from actually getting into our ears, and that is what we call the ear canal. A sheet of muscle and skin which vibrates when the air particles strike it is of course the eardrum. The 3 small bones, hammer, anvil and stirrup, collectively are known as the ossicles. And those are vibrating ossicles which magnify the vibrations, cause a liquid in the cochlea to vibrate. Finally, the electrical signals that are sent via the cochlea go to the brain via the auditory nerve. And then 2 bits which we don't need in actual labelling of your diagram are the pinna, which is the flappy outer bit of your ear, and the semicircular canals, which I mentioned earlier, actually enable us to balance. Okay, so hopefully you got those correct on your labelling of the diagram. Okay, so to do the next bit then, all you need to do is to follow the path of the air and the vibrations to get this done. So if we start with, on the left hand side, vibrating air enters the ear canal. The air causes the eardrum to vibrate. This causes small bones called the ossicles to vibrate. These cause the liquid in the cochlea to vibrate, and the electrical signals that are produced are then passed on to their brain. And it's as simple as that. Please learn that sequence and make sure that you can label the diagram of the ear like so. Enough of listening to me. Now what I'd like you to do is to watch the Scientific Eye video entitled Hearing the Sound and make a list of the things that can affect or damage our hearing. Now there's a direct link here if you are open to PowerPoint, following the PowerPoint. If you're watching the video, you can type in that, or if you go to YouTube and type in Hearing the Sound, you should get access to that video. In addition to giving you ideas about what affects our hearing, it's also a good revision of sound, so do make sure that you watch that. Okay, so hopefully now you should be able to describe in detail how we hear sounds, from the outer ear to the ear canal, to the eardrum, to the ossicles, to the cochlea, to the auditory nerve, and finally to our brain. You should also recall that persistent exposure to loud sounds can damage our hearing, particularly at high frequencies.